Happy Thursday, and welcome back to the You Good Podcast, the podcast where oversharing is encouraged and the thoughts get real. I am your host, C-Rod, and 6 months ago, we hit record without really knowing what this would become. Since then, we've dropped episodes every single week, with guest, without guest, during holidays, birthdays, chaos, heavy weeks, and everything in between. This episode will be about reflecting on what's worked, what's surprised us, the moments that mattered, and why we kept showing up even when it would have been easier just not to. Welcome to episode 26. 6 months in, the You Good Check-In. Let's get into it.
I don't wanna live where I always feel broken. I just wanna live with a heart wide open. I don't ever wanna feel fear anymore. No.
Hey, Chris.
Hi, Nick.
How's it going, bud?
It's going okay. Just okay.
Just okay? Why just okay, dude? How do we get that up to great?
I'm stressed out because of Christmas. I feel like there may be... I don't know. I just feel like it may not be the most Christmassy Christmas this year. If that makes sense.
It's a mindset.
I guess my expectations are higher than they should be.
You like Clark Griswold in it right now, like waiting for that bonus so you can put the pool in the ground.
No, it's...
You're just
I
gonna
don't
burn
think
it
it's
down
about-
when you don't get it.
I don't think it's about what we can provide or not provide. The kids have everything that they need.
I was gonna say they never want for nothing.
Well, they just I don't know. So I'm kind of annoyed because I feel like they're just gonna get more toys and more crap, and we already have enough toys and enough crap in this house. Like, my kids have enough toys to last them for like the next 10 years, and it's not even a joke. And what just happens is they get these toys and they play with them for a few days. They end up in another box. You know, Tegan's birthday's in February. Carter's birthday's in April. Kids' birthday's in June. Next thing we know, by summer, they already have new toys that they're playing with. So I'm a little annoyed by that. And I'm annoyed because Kinsley wrote her Santa letter. And she didn't even write a letter. It was more of just a materialistic list. She usually would write a letter, hi Santa, talk about the year, talk about how she loves her family and her siblings, and she can't wait for Christmas to be with everybody. And this list, the letter this year was just Uggs and glitter set and makeup this, and I'm just like, all right. And I understand it's because she's about to be 11, and that's just, soon Santa's not going to be real, and that's just the natural progression. But I think it's a little bit disheartening, just as a parent, that she's treating the holiday as just a materialistic holiday and not the fun time. Christmas has always been my favorite holiday, and I don't know, it's just different.
Yeah, that's tough. For me, when Sam started figuring out when the magic wasn't real anymore, that was not. It was hard because it's oh man, now what? Now I can be I gotta wrap presents. I don't have to sneak around anymore. I don't have to the magic for me at Christmas was kind of gone because I don't get to see that that light up. Where did these come from?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's great. Like I said, now I don't have to sneak around. If I want to wrap them early, I can wrap them and throw them. I don't do that, but if I wanted to, you could.
I blame the stupid elves, the elf on the shelf.
Oh my god. Yeah, I didn't have that really. Sam was right at the tail end of it.
I said no. For 7 years we didn't have it, but Kelsey always did it at her house. So Kinsley was I don't understand why I don't have an elf at your house. And then, we had Tegan and we had Carter. So she's well, why don't they have elves? And it's just, okay. But now she's old enough to where, when she's looking in these gift magazines that they get, and there's Elf on a Shelf in there. okay, you clearly see that this elf is not, some special Santa elf, and when Elfie comes at Kelsey's house, the elf comes with gifts. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not buying extra gifts from this elf on a shelf thing, and so I feel like that kills a lot of the magic too.
Yeah. Back to, I guess, what you're saying about more materialistic than what it is. For me, Christmas was always like family being around, like not just like your immediate, but like your extended. Like that's when like the cousins and the aunts and the uncles and everybody would get together at the grandparents' house and have a big old dinner and all that. And like, I don't know, as I've gotten older, I just don't have the family. Like my family just doesn't exist like that. If all my brothers, who would be Sam's uncles, came, there'd be no nephews. Like there's just them. They don't have spouses. Like, not that that's a bad thing. It's just it is what it is. And I don't know. Like that part for me has been hard. Like I want that. I want the big family gatherings, and I just don't have the family.
Well, on the other spectrum, I have too much family. Like right now, every 3 years or every year, we're rotating on a 3-year cycle between my house, Callie's parents' house, and my parents' house of where we're having Christmas because, me as an only child, my parents always wanted me to have Christmas there, but then there's Callie's family, then we had the kids, and at the end of the day, I'm the one traveling. I'm the one having to drive to Deltona, having to drive to Boynton Beach. And I'm like, guys, I'm not doing it with 3 kids and 2 dogs. Like, I understand the rest of the family, like, is too big to travel. So, like, we'll just have to break it up in years. And it's like, there's goods and bads to it. Like, I definitely I hate that I had to, like, pick and choose which family I hang out for Christmas. Even though I have a great time with all, everyone. It's just, it's so extended that there's people that I don't, see for Christmas anymore that I used to love seeing every year. And I think that's just a part of change and growth, and everybody's, moving to different states or having kids or getting married or whatever it is. And it becomes, then, like some of my cousins I don't see, but, their parents are split and then they're with their spouses, so they have to go to their spouse's house. So I don't know. Christmas is definitely still my favorite holiday. I just think this is probably going to be the most different Christmas I've had ever for so many different reasons, and nothing bad. It's just different. It's just different.
Yeah, I don't know. As I've gotten older, Christmas has definitely become less and less like my favorite. I guess out of all the holidays, it still probably is my favorite, but I don't know. Starting to just dislike all of them.
Even when the magic is gone, like I feel like you said, for the family aspect, like Christmas will always be my favorite. But maybe that's the hardest part, is knowing that Kinsley's the oldest. She's 10, going on 11, and like Christmas magic is probably going to end soon for her. And like I still want to keep it alive for Carter and Tegan, obviously.
Yeah, but now you got an elf. Now you get to bring her in on that side of it.
Bring her into Christmas.
Yeah, bring her into that side of it. Like, oh yeah, like that's a whole other aspect to it. Like the whole point of it. You know what I mean? Like she gets to now experience the whole point of Christmas, not the get. The no.
Well, it's gonna be materialistic for a few years when she gets into her teens and shit.
No, it still will be, but she can at least like see like, oh, it's not just about getting things, like getting this list and putting out, expecting to get what I put out on this list, and bringing her into the other side of it. Like, no, like this is like we're the magic, so you got to keep it going.
No, you're right. You are right. Well, anyways, we could talk about Christmas all day and holidays all day, and we have the last few episodes, but let's get into something a little bit more exciting. Realizing that today's episode is our 6th-month anniversary.
Yay!
I'm kind of shocked we're here already. The last 3 months were definitely smoother than the first 3 months. You know, there's always growth and learning, and we'll talk about the goods, the bads, the best ofs. But you know, what are your thoughts on 6 months? You know, what are your thoughts on, you know, what this podcast was going to be when you first jumped on to kind of where we are now?
I honestly, like, after listening to the first two, I guess 2, 3, was it 3.5 episodes that I wasn't a part of? I don't really count the 4th of July one as a full episode, so.
Yeah, something like that. 3.5.
Yeah, so, like, I didn't really know what to expect, you know? Like, I knew I wasn't going to be getting drunk on the pod with you. I knew that that part of it wasn't going to happen, at least for me. But I really didn't know what to expect, but I know after listening to the first few episodes and hearing myself talk back and knowing that there are a few words I like to say a lot in describing things and things like that, I realize, like, this isn't easy. It isn't easy to do this week in and week out on topics that can be especially, like, close to home, where you got to be extremely vulnerable. But it's been rewarding, very rewarding. I've just the stories we've gotten as of late, not to mention, you know, what we've had earlier on, just especially with, like, when Rex was on, just this whole journey has been just like a pleasant surprise. Not that I was to think anything less, but, like, it's been more than I ever could have imagined, and I'm really grateful that we took the leap and have stuck to it.
Yeah, I love that. I love everything about what you said. I second it fully. You know, even for me, there was a lot of early nerves in the first few episodes, not really expecting much of it, not really even knowing, you know, what the structure was going to be. And 3 episodes in, lost my co-host, you know, had to pivot. Was fortunate enough to have somebody like you who was willing, able, and ready to jump right in. But then bringing on guests, you know, and bringing on guests brings on more nerves. You know, are people going to want to be on? You know, are people going to show up? Are people going to be prepared? Are people going to be willing to open up, you know, and have actually interesting conversations that we could dig into? And a lot of those nerves, I guess, are kind of gone now. 6 months in, I don't really think I'm kind of nervous about how to build an episode, reaching out to people, bringing them on, making sure that they're comfortable as we kind of tell their story. And I'm excited. I'm very excited. You know, there's been a lot of struggles, a lot of challenges. It's very mentally draining, especially all of the hours of, you know, the late hours of editing, the things that people don't see that go, or don't hear, that go, you know, beyond the episode itself. But finding the time, you know, having somebody like you who is able to adjust and be flexible with me, you know, I think that just speaks volumes, and it says the world about kind of what we're building. And I'm excited to talk about, you know, and relive some of the moments that made the show what it is, and we'll talk about the best of, and I think that's kind of where I want to start. Does that work for you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Wherever you want to go, big guy.
Well, usually we do the rotational opener and, you know, the small win of the week, and I think that we don't have to do it this week because our small win is celebratory 6 months.
Good choice.
So the first thing I want to talk about is, you know, the funny moments, the most memorable ones. We'll call it the best of, the laughs, the chaos, and the callbacks. Thinking about how many people we've had on. And
How many has it been?
so to date, we have had 10 guests. We've had 10 total guests and 11 guest episodes. Because Chris's episode was two-parter.
Mm-hmm.
Broke it up. But yeah, we've had 10 guest episodes in the first 6 months.
Okay.
Let me ask you. I want to get you thinking about the episodes that maybe best represent the show, right? Or maybe some of the moments that still make you laugh. I know I have one. Or just, what surprised you about bringing guests on? Like, these are all the things I want you to think about while we talk about the best of. But talk to me about your favorite guest so far. Who do you think that
Guess? Man, I really liked Oja. Rex was great. Hugo was really good. I enjoyed them all. I mean, it's not fair to like rank them. I don't think it's fair to like any particular guest we've had to say they were better or not. But like I guess my personal favorite probably was Oja, just because a lot of the stuff that he's been going through as of late has hit home a lot. So being able to be there for him, help, just like I said earlier, like in that episode or at the end of that, like just hey, if just someone to sit in a room in silence with you, man, I'm there type stuff. But like I said, Hugo's was really good just because I got the glimpse into the Chris the lost years for me of C-Rod. So yeah, so for me, I'm like because I never got that. I never have gotten that C-Rod. I got a little bit of it earlier on in like the beginning stages of you just discovering it maybe in high school, but then it blossoming into its full potential in college. I was up in Jacksonville doing my own thing. So,
well, it's very funny because as we start to have more guests on, what people may not know is every third guest is somebody that you bring on, but all of the other guests I'm pre-booking, and a majority of the time you don't even know these people before they come on. I have been fortunate enough to bring on people that you have been connected to through maybe like fantasy sports or, something along those lines, but it's completely different perspective for you because, people like Chris and people like Michelle and Mike Gore that have come on from my college years, like you don't know these people and you're meeting them for the first time, but also talking about their story at the same time. So like, how different is that for you compared to like a Chris Marrero or an Oja where you know who they are and you know their story?
Well, I guess that's different for you too, because you also know most of the guests I've brought on. You've known as well, so I guess I am the only one flying in the dark most of the time. It was difficult in the beginning because I think because we weren't doing the work on the back end to help me out in those situations where like I just because I'm flying blind, I'm not really sure what to say or do in these situations because most of the time I'm listening and learning like our listeners. But then once we figured that part of it out, I think it got easier, and some of our better episodes were the ones where I don't know these people at all, but like the Hugo one, I feel like personally I was one of my better episodes with a guest. It was one of my first episodes with a guest where we were like more prepared for me to be involved in the episode as far as like just questions to ask or topics to bring up or things like that. Like I said, stuff on the back end that we do anyway, but just we're more focused on some things to help me out. In those, like I said, when I know them, it's a lot easier because the things that we're going to talk about, I probably also wrote, so I know what's going to happen. But
I'm waiting for the first episode where you bring on somebody who I don't know, because I think that it'll just be a whole, I think, new game, for me and new perspective for me of like, this is now kind of a real interview. I don't know what the answers are going to be, or I don't know, where the story lies, but let's get into it and see where we can take these people.
Yeah, next year is going to be real interesting, I think for both of us. Because, I'm sure there's going to be more people I don't know.
Yeah. Let me say the top episodes, and this is going to be by Spotify view. So the top 5 with guests by Spotify streams would be episode 17, The Big Brother Assignment with Mike Gore, followed by episode 13, The Free Spirit Energy with Kristen Hugo, followed by episode 9, From Jigsaw to Azarius with Rex, episode 11, Dynamic Duo Energy with Chris Arameta, Part 1, greatly outperformed Part 2. They didn't want to come back for it. And number 5 overall would be episode 22, What We Learn on the Road, featuring Michelle Londona. What do you have to say about that list?
I'm not really surprised. I mean, the Gore one kind of surprised me, but not really. Just because of the amount of people you both know and the willingness that they are probably to listen. No, that's kind of, I would probably I'm not surprised by it. I really would have thought one of our episodes was snuck in there, but
well, this was with guests. This is only with guests.
Oh, only with guests. You didn't do it in overall.
Yeah, I ranked our without guests. We'll talk about that next. But I mean, for me, it's really hard to pick a favorite guest because, as I'm building this, like I mentioned, anybody that says yes is a special guest to me, right? Because they are the first adopters that are willing to put their story or just come out there and talk. So, like Brittany, her episode 7, that was the first guest that we had. That was the first guest of the rebrand to the You Good podcast for Bro You Good, right? So, like, that episode holds a special part, a special place in my heart for me. Even before the craziest episode by far, and I think the most out-of-pocket one, is the July 4th episode, which I know you said you haven't listened to.
No, I listened to it. I definitely listened to it. I just don't count it as an episode, like a full episode. We
recorded on the fly. There was so many burps,
that's my point. Like, I'm like, that one was so just not on brand that I don't count it as a full episode. Like, I know you guys did it, and I guess we're thankful for it, but. I mean, we also probably could have been good without it too.
I completely listen. There are so many episodes that I feel like we could have been without. I mean, even episode number 1, I lost half of my viewers. Like we never got back to the full numbers of episode 1. And was it just because it was episode 1 and people were checking in? Maybe. Was it because it was episode 1 and we talked about 2 Girls, 1 Cup and people were like, well, this is stupid? Probably. Was it because it was episode 1 and we weren't in full form yet? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, I know that it took a while for us to catch our stride with guests, especially with guests, but without them as well. But the whole guest dynamic when we had the brothers on, dude, that one was tough. Like, only just because like the amount of prep work that went into that, and then we got nothing out of it. I was just so I'm glad we have multiple backups for, contingencies for what we do, but Jesus, like, that one stung. Only because of the amount of setup that went into it. Like, I would have been okay, completely, like, cool, like nothing, like, if it was, a quick, like Marrero, just quick and easy and okay, sweet. We didn't express that you couldn't have the audio playing through the back, but okay, cool.
I mean, the technical difficulties of the Greek Bros episode is definitely a note that I have here, but the positive is it taught us how to adapt on the fly. It taught me how to not stress and just find a solution. I mean, if you remember, I was flying out to California the very next day after we recorded, the morning after we recorded that. So, like, I didn't have time to stress. I had to figure out, hey, let's figure out how to get this audio. Let's just get the episode out, and we move on, and we learn from this. And I think that's, much different than me 5 years ago, where I would have just absolutely lost my shit and freaked out, and probably would have never even got to getting the episode out. But
I think it also is a testament to just like the mentality of like, no, we have to be consistent. We have to make sure we're doing this. Sure. Hell or high water. Like, if we couldn't have had, if that didn't work, I know that me and you would have got on the mic and recorded something for that week if we had to. So, like, and that's, I think, knowing that we have like that, not flexibility, but like just that kind of like, we're gonna do this, hell or high water. Like, it does make it kind of easier. Like, I had a day today, like I did not want to necessarily get on this, but here we are, like.
And that's what I said about you in the beginning, and it is the flexibility, right? Because it's your schedule, it's the kids, it's accommodating guests, we're constantly moving recording times or days around, and that's huge for me to have from a co-host like yourself. But it's also, it is mentally exhausting, and there are days where I'm just like, this week we could just not do an episode and it would be fine. But to me, that's giving up. And from day one, I said I was going to show up every week while I built this thing up. And when you joined, you said you were going to do the same thing. The episode that I did alone, we'll talk about without guests next, but the episode I did alone, like, that was very humbling in the sense that, like, okay, could I do this on my own? I could. Do I want to? Not really. It makes it, that much harder. And it's easier to have somebody to talk to instead of just kind of like talking to myself. So yeah, man, I mean, it's definitely flexibility, and it's definitely, like, it shows that we have a passion for this, and we're gonna have hiccups and we're gonna have bumps, but we keep kind of moving on.
For sure.
The last note here on the with guest, I do want to say that it was very hard to choose, but I think that reconnecting with my big brother, with Mike Gore, after so many years, that was probably my favorite episode, only because every other guest that, has come on, I've had, I don't want to call it a relationship because, I have that friendship with him still, but it's just been a more present, relationships that I've had with some of the people. So for me to bring him on, after 10 years of not seeing him, texting, Instagram, whatever, but like seeing him and talking to him and diving in, I think that was probably one of my favorite episodes. Right behind him, I think the double episode with Chris Sarameto, like, that was a special one because he changed the game up in terms of like how guests approach their episodes. He controlled a lot of it. He asked us questions. Not a lot of guests come on, one, prepared with things to talk about, but two, like, prepared to ask questions and, talk back to me. So I think that was one of my top ones. And, like Rex, man, Rex was so real. I love him. To have him on, that was a great episode. Having him allow us to use his music, that was definitely another special one.
Right. And I think that's where I was like, I think that's what I was saying. They all have a very special place all of them have a place. It's hard to narrow it down, and the ones that I pointed out were just the ones that like stuck out for a particular reason, like in that episode, like nothing anyone did or didn't do or like anything like that. It was literally just like those for me just struck a chord, but. I have something positive I could say about every single episode, So we'd be here for 14 hours.
Well, also the new episodes need time to breathe, right? The Dugas episode and the Oja episode, great episodes, heavy stuff, but they've only been out for a few weeks, and some of these have been out for months at a time, and it's always interesting to go back in and look at the stats. And to see some of these older episodes be listened to, a month or two after they've been out, so that's pretty cool. I'm interested to see kind of what happens with some of the other ones. So, last question here on the best ofs, but give me your what's your funniest guest moment?
Obviously the Chris story, the roommate story was probably, the funniest personal one I had. On the spot, that's the only one that's like coming to mind because it's personal, like to me and my parents.
The Chris Morero's the spending the night episode.
Yeah, the slumber
that
party.
story. No, that was a hilarious moment. I don't know. The thing that stuck out for me is just whelmed.
Yeah.
Hugo's episode.
Yeah, overwhelmed, and then I'm whelmed. That's the first episode and only episode I'm mad. That's the one episode I had clipped and everything, and we didn't have the video for. That was the first one.
I know. We'll never have those. Like that would have been a great.
That would have been. Oh my god, the whelmed. All of that would have probably been it. To be fair, I might try to clip it and do some animation or something with it.
Well, that's true. We do have the audio. Yeah, that would be funny.
Audio, so maybe we'll do something like that. What would be an episode you'd recommend to a first timer?
Ooh,
first time listener, first timer.
For a first timer. Well, okay, I could say that when I have a guest come on, I usually give them a few recommendations to listen to. I would say that I have recommended Rex's episode. I have recommended that I have recommended our episode about mental health to people as like a heavier episode. But I would say a lot of the times I recommend Rex's episode. I think that it was a complete one where we talked about some deep stuff, some reconnection, and it kind of had everything in it.
His episode for like kind of like what I expected for our guests. Basically, like a little bit of a backstory, but then get into something heavy. Mostly because that's what most of our episodes tend to be about. Like we try to get into something heavy each episode, or I don't know if it's planned like that, or I know that's. I mean, it just probably just how it works out,
Well, I had a conversation with somebody. Who was it? Oh, with Chris Sarametta, just the other day, where he was like, at first I didn't really understand why you say that your podcast is about mental health. And I'm like, well, there's a lot, like, it's a good question, because it's not like we're doctors and we don't really sit here every day and, like, blatantly put mental health in your face. But at the end of the day, like, if you are to listen to the episodes fully and dissect the segments, it's like, okay, every guest that we've had on, we have dug into trauma, or hard times. And when we're talking about those scenarios or those aspects of people's lives, like, we're asking questions about how to cope. How do you deal with sudden loss? How do you deal with grief? What are things that you can do to deal with depression? And I there's so many different ways to handle mental health that it's up for like the listeners to decide, can they connect with a story? Have they lost their parents or their siblings, or, did they just go through a breakup or go through a divorce, or, whatever it might be. And if they connect with that story, maybe they take something deeper and they learn from it. And if they don't connect from that story, maybe they can at least hear a story from somebody else's perspective, and maybe it opens their mind up, to what other people are going through. And for me, it's like an ideology of mental health, and it doesn't have to directly always be straight up like, let's talk about the hard stuff. Does that make sense?
No, and not every episode we've talked about the hard stuff. It just, for me, like, that's what we signed up for, right? That's being vulnerable, but also, like, not every episode needs that, so.
Right.
But for me, like I said, the guest part of it, like, that's what I thought we would be doing a lot of, was what we did with, like, how we got in with Rex, was like, we had a bunch of backstory and all that, but then he got into a lot of his, his trauma and, his stuff. And, and I
oversharing is encouraged.
Right.
Thoughts get real.
No, right. Like, that's the whole point of this, right? Like, and with Sarah Meta, it's like, we need, a week, to get everything out with him. But like you said, Chris was the first and only one that had pages of stuff to talk about. It wasn't like some people have come with notes and things, like they're prepared, but Chris was ready for any and all topics that you had come up with, so including didn't even think of.
The guests are easy, the laughs are easy, the best ofs are always easy, and I think you're right. When we talk about mental health every episode, that could get exhausting, that could get hard, but a lot of the times we will also want to lighten the mood, but there are some of the moments that are very heavy. We have gotten into some very heavy conversation, very serious topics. What would you say is an episode that surprised you with how heavy it became?
Dugus's was, I wasn't necessarily expecting how. I mean, obviously after we were prepared for it, but at the same time, I personally, I didn't think it would affect me as much as it did. I didn't think I would be. I was pretty emotional myself in it. I know that it didn't really come across, but like I got choked up in a few parts of that episode when I was trying to ask questions or contribute. But I wasn't necessarily surprised because I knew that one was going to be a heavy one. I'm trying to think of one that like just had caught me off guard with how heavy it was.
I mean, you're right. I don't think that anything could really catch us off guard because you're right. When we do bring a guest on, we do the pre-playing of the episode guide. We ask them, what they want to talk about, and in Oja's case and Rex's case and Dugas and everything, we already knew that we were going to kind of get into topics that were a little heavier than most.
Like we knew what we knew what we were going to get into. Yeah. So it's like not that we were surprised, but I mean, yeah, no, they're tough. The one that I found out a lot that I didn't know about someone that I thought I knew with Rex's episode. Like there was a lot of that story that I didn't know fully, and I was so like I'll say it now like I said it then. I'm so thankful that he shared what he shared and how he shared it. So thank you, Rex.
And I think the heavy episodes for me, especially like yours and Rex's and Oja's and Dugas's, like we mentioned, it's taught me how to be, I think, a little bit more emotionally open and accepting of like other people's paths or stories. Because while these people are telling their stories, like I have to sit there and look them in the eye and listen to their story. And like even yours, your episode where I knew your story, it's so much different knowing it and then talking about it and like talking
Right.
about the details. And you are right. It doesn't always come across by just audio, like when we're choked up or when, we're teary eyed, or it's a little bit harder for us to, we need to take a second before we say, the next word out of our mouth or something. But it's been different having that happen. Out of the 10 guests, I'd probably say 4, maybe 5 times where, and so many other times where I'm just like, damn, I've known you for this many years, never knew that about you, or never knew this story, or like, I appreciate you openly talking about that, even though if it's just us and the few hundred people that listen, it's like putting that out there in the world is I don't know, it's a pretty powerful thing. The heavy episodes are definitely, just thank you to the guests who have trusted us with their vulnerable stories. And I mean, I can't say thank you enough. Conversations that, do you have any conversations that have stayed with you, after the mics were off? Sometimes when we're done recording and done shooting, we stay on a little bit with the guests and we talk about things afterwards. Any guests come to mind when you were like, man, we had a good conversation after too?
Yeah, we had one recently with Michelle. We had a good conversation with her afterward. Got a lot of perspective that I needed around a time that was very handy. That one's the one that sticks out, obviously, but it's one of the more recent ones. Hugo. I mean, honestly, the reason we record, we tell them about it is like because of the stuff that happens even after for us. I mean, there's countless times there's been conversations with me and you that I'm like, oh, I'm glad that. I know we've also cut it. We've also been like, we need to stop recording.
Yeah. I had a fun time with Marrero afterwards. Like, I really want to come home and come to town, and who knows, maybe me, you, Marrero, Sarabetta, Oja, we can all get together.
Dude, yeah, Oja will definitely come do karaoke. Dude, maybe that's the time we do Romper Daddy. We all just get rompers and just go do karaoke.
Just have a male romper party.
Romper Daddy it up at karaoke. Save your moms, Deltona. Keep your moms locked up.
Is there anything that you've learned about yourself from these guests and the deep conversation that we've had in the last 6 months?
That I need to get better at asking questions. That like I like to listen, and I know that's you got 2 years in one mouth, to listen more. But I think in this aspect, I need to interject a little bit more. I need to just make not my presence known, but like just ask deeper questions and just get more. I help steering the conversation into where we want it to go. I think that's just one aspect. I know that I'm being a little bit critical of myself, but I think that's one aspect that I can definitely improve on.
When we look back, so after we get past the guest episodes, like I mentioned, I did also mark the top episodes without guests. But here's where you're going to be surprised. Because the top episodes right now are episodes 1, 2, 4, the July 4th episode, and then episode 6. So it's the first ever Bro You Good episode, then the second I'm Good But Am I episode, then it's New Dugout Same Game. Oh, you're part of that episode. You were on episode 4, and then it's the July 4th episode, and then Brotherhood and Boy Bands, which is also one of your episodes. But it's interesting to see that still in the top without guest episodes, 3 of them are Preston. How does that make you feel?
Indifferent. I think just the longevity alone speaks for itself. You know, I mean, I'll be here for the foreseeable future, and he's at home on the bench. I love you, I love you, Preston. I'm just also thinking about like fantasies too. So
it's always very interesting to look at the stats, and I kind of don't, because I think
that's a little surprising though. I'm not like I just said 1 and 2 are still the. I mean, it is and it isn't. I guess you had the. Man,
well,
that is odd.
When we get into 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, there. I mean, we're talking about a few extra hours of play, a few extra unique listeners. It's like 5 could separate. If 5 people listen to one of them, it could jump up to 2. You know what I'm saying?
No,
it's
okay. You want to get Preston on the phone? Just call Preston up, see if he wants to come back. I get it. I'm bringing you down, dude. That's it.
Have a Nick versus Preston episode.
No
if you're
need.
Listening, tell us who you enjoy listening to more.
It's clearly me. It's clearly me. I'm the problem, dude. I'm sorry, dude. I'm dragging this whole thing down. All right. Well, it was fun. It was a lot of fun. It's been fun.
Outside of those, your top episodes are Deep Thoughts and Deeper Wounds, which I believe you ran. Private Moments and Guilty Pleasures. Small Things, Big Impact. And then the football episode we had, Are You Ready for Some Football? And then our listener episode, You Asked, We Answered, would be the next top 5, not including Preston's. But before we talk about, what's next or what we want this show to be, was there any other questions or things you want to talk about? Just about the guests in general, the episodes that we've had, the podcast that we've built, or anything over the last 6 months?
What do you feel any responsibilities when the conversations start to get real?
Responsibility?
Yes, as far as like their story or like how to make sure that it's getting portrayed the best, or
well, here's the thing: is I want to make sure. Number one is I always want to make sure that guests are comfortable. Like I have people who I want to be on the show, but they're not ready yet. I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. Take your time. I'm gonna book more guests. I'm gonna come back to you when you're ready. And the people that are ready, and I always tell them this before I text them and put together our group chat as we build up to the episode, is that like I want you to be as comfortable as possible. Like you tell me what's off limits. You tell me what we want to talk about. I was like, other than that, trust me, I'll guide you. I'll ask questions. We'll dig into it. So I do feel a responsibility to, at least if somebody wants to open up about something, to walk them through it in the best way possible. And, I don't look at these guests or these conversations or these episodes as money, right? This isn't, hey, let's have the craziest content or conversation that we can have to get something viral, to put your vulnerability out there to make us money. That's not, where we're at or what we do. And
no, I wouldn't be here for that if that was what it was about. Like,
so the conversations are, I do feel fully responsible, and I want to make sure that we walk through it in a way that's respectable to their story, and in a way that they're happy with, when they get off of here. And I've had so many people text me after guest episodes that like, hey, that conversation you had with this person, maybe they don't know them, but they're like, hey, that was powerful stuff. I enjoyed listening to that. I texted Dugas and I was like, "Hey, did you listen to your episode? Were you happy with it?" And he was like, "Yeah, thank you for the way you portrayed it. My mom listened to it and it helped her wrap up some loose ends and like that feels good. That feels good, and that's why we do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, yeah, I feel responsible, and it's a responsibility that I like carrying, because if we weren't getting real and we weren't comfortable oversharing, then it's not the You Good podcast, the podcast where oversharing is encouraged and the thoughts get real.
That is true. Is there anything that in this process of doing this that you've learned about yourself?
Yeah, I think it's, like we talked about, the adapting on the fly, the being able to juggle multiple responsibilities. It's been humbling, it's been exhausting, but it's also kind of made me more patient, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's been an experience, and we've navigated a lot, and I wouldn't change any of it. I'm so excited for the next season or the next year that we'll talk about. I'm excited to see the evolution and the growth. But I think that my stress levels have gone down because, I'm talking with you and I'm getting things off my chest, whether it's before that we're recording or while we're recording or after, or when I bring on guests. I'm seeing friends and people that I haven't seen in a long time, and I'm having really good conversation with them, and it just makes me happier, and it makes me less anxious. And like we've talked about since episode 1, this was also kind of a therapy outlet for myself. So I've learned to be patient and accepting and grow, and I'm just overall kind of happy where the experience has taken us.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Those are great questions, though. I appreciate that.
Oh,
hell yeah. Can't wait to have Craig here, Stone Cold.
Just hit you with the Stone Cold. Oh, hell yeah.
Before we talk about what's next, I want to thank every guest that has been willing to give their time and to share their stories. And that's Brittany, Rex, Chris, Sarametta, Hugo, Marrero, Gore, the Greek Bros, Evan, Dimitri, Michelle Londono, Oja, and Dugas. If you're listening to this, again, we've already said it a million times, but thank you.
Yes. Thank you. I like he said, not one is more important to us than the other.
Yeah. And contrary to Nick, I want to thank Preston for pushing me, to get this started. And although it did not work out for him to stay on as co-host, he did help lay the foundation for what the show was going to be, and you kind of came in and made it what it's becoming. So I do want to thank Preston.
No, I love Preston. I'm thankful that he pushed you to do this as well, because if he didn't, I wouldn't be doing this. So
let's look ahead now instead of back, and I'm very excited to say that I've already booked a majority of guests all the way through April, which is kind of insane. But talk to me about some of the topics that you want to explore deeper, or some of the type of guests that you'd like to have on for next year.
I'm just looking forward to getting some, like we had talked about earlier, some more people that maybe you don't necessarily know from my side of it. Getting some people you do know that you probably haven't talked to in a very long time. Getting people that have projects and things going on outside of our arenas, and learning about all of that stuff. Just honestly excited to have this outlet and to keep going, to keep exploring the men's mental health space. with one of my best friends. No, it's good. It's gonna be fun. I'm not as booked up yet as you are, but I'm getting there.
I want to hear just from more people that have stories that they just haven't shared, because honestly, like those are the best shows to plan for me and the best conversations we have. But at the same time, I also want to hear from people that are in like different professions or, you know, have different side things going on. Like it was really fun to talk to Rex and Marrero about their, you know, music background and just the music that they've put out and the plans that they have, or like Hugo, you know, starting the shorts company. And, you know, I have plans for other people who, you know, have cooking companies and like different companies out there that I want to bring on and talk to them about their story and give them a platform to, you know, maybe outside of just Instagram or TikTok, to talk about, you know, what they have a passion for, what they love to do, and maybe something that's just a little bit more happier, you know?
Yeah, no, I'm also excited to get the video component of this rolling out and going. Something we're shooting to roll out in the beginning of the year, and that aspect of this is a whole is a whole nother stressor. That's been a thing, but it's all worth it. This is the stress that's worth it, though, right? This is the stress that makes it all worth it. You know, like this is you being able to put out something that we can be proud of, and I think that's the last component of this. I think is putting that out into the world. So,
Would you say that the video is what excites you the most about kind of what's ahead, the next steps?
I guess as far as like the production side of it, I think that, and maybe some of the other things that we've discussed, if we can get them to actually have a plan and actually a course to get them out, I think that'd be good too. Like I think the voicemail thing, I think that'd be great. I just logistics, trying to figure that out, you know, and do our normal jobs and everything else, and you know, it's a lot for two people. That's for sure. So
Yeah. Maybe one day we'll get a production staff, you know?
Just maybe one. Maybe we'll get a Jamie one day. we just need a Jamie.
Then we'll have to get an office, and then you'll have to move to Tampa. There's so many things, you know?
What are you going to do if I leave the state, you know?
Then you're going to have to fly back, you know?
Every week? Oh, God. We really better have 100 million listeners, and Spotify owns us, you know?
What's one thing that, as the show grows, you want to not lose?
I don't want to lose perspective. No, I don't want to lose like this. I don't want to lose what we did before. Like, I don't want to lose like the time that we have to not necessarily to just talk even off camera. Like, I don't necessarily want to lose that. I don't want it to get to where we're so busy we don't have the time for like the other stuff. You know, I think that is what I don't want to lose the most. I don't want to lose like the little things that we take for granted now, but then, you know, in 6 months from now, when God knows where this is at, like are we still going to take those little things for granted? And you know, I don't know. We'll see, right? You know, I hope not. You know, but who knows, dude? We might get to a point where we have to hire some people. You know, who the hell knows? And then,
well, I mean, I hope one day we get to that point to where we are able to bring in help. But at the end of it, like, you know, the show has a heart, and the heart is real conversation, right?
Well, I don't think that's going anywhere. Like that can't go any. Well, they can't go anywhere, right? Like if this is
But the
gonna
real
work,
conversation doesn't happen if, if we're like, hey, if this becomes a business meeting to where it's like, all right, Nick, jump on, let's record this episode, see you later.
it's never gonna be
then-
that way, though. Like it
that's-
can't work.
yeah.
It doesn't work that way.
Right.
It can't ever be that way. So like I guess I'm not worried about it ever being that because it can't. You know what I mean? Like if it's that, it's already broke. You know, like so no, and it wasn't necessarily that. It was like we just don't have the time, like to where we've we got the episodes planned out and all that. But like, hey, what we talked about before the episode, that wasn't planned. You know what I'm saying? Like I didn't tell you anything about that. So like that's what I'm talking about. Like getting too busy to where we can't have that. And I don't necessarily think that's going to happen, but like you asked me what a fear was. So,
There you go. There you go. I'm excited. All I can say is I'm excited. I really want to figure out the whole TikTok aspect, the whole Reels aspect. I'm excited to, hopefully one day start recording these we do record the full episodes, but putting them out there on YouTube. It's only 6 months. Like 6 months is nothing. And we have barely scratched any surface to what this is or what this could be, or maybe it's nothing. Who knows? I'm having a great time. The feedback that I'm getting from people that I either are in my circle or I haven't talked to in so long has been great. At some point, hopefully strangers start listening. But it's been an experience. The next batch of guests we have on deck, if you know these people, I have my buddy Gino coming on. He's from Major Push Wrestling. You've probably seen me on his show. A few more fraternity brothers in the Animal Gabe Bomb. Stone Cold Craig Chandler is going to be on.
No way.
Yeah,
No way.
old Chandler.
You got the Ultimate Warriors, huh?
Yeah,
Could you imagine if it's
Cerametta.
Could you imagine if it's the Ultimate Warriors and the Macho Men and the Deacon out for the finals?
He can't. Maybe that. Maybe
It's
we'll
very
be
possible.
there then. Next week we got a trio of women coming on for the Christmas episode.
Oh yeah, I forgot the chaotic one. Chaotic episode.
Candace Cerametta will be on. Chris's sister, Michelle Ham, another college friend of mine, and then a blast from the past. I don't know if you remember Andrew Smith, Big Red, from Deltona, but he'll be on as well.
Maybe. Man, I don't know. I know that I don't nearly have as many as you. That's not fair. I got Danny. Danny did say he'll do it. We just haven't locked down the dates yet. So that's one of the ones probably I'm excited for the most, as far as like mine.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one too.
Mr. Bellini, for sure. Craig, Calamus, and some others. But no, it's gonna be definitely a good next 6 months, and I'm just thankful that we've been consistent and continue to make this a priority. So,
yeah. Well, 6 months is complete. Before we close out the show, give me one word you want the show to be associated with, and just one last to our fans.
One word that I want: whelmed.
Oh God, whelmed.
Dude, if one thing comes from that, being known for whelmed that would be great. Yeah, whelmed.
Oh God, I'm gonna have to get Chris. Well, hopefully she listens to this episode. We'll see. We'll see if she texts us or not. 6 months in, we are grateful again for the guests who have trusted us, the listeners who have stuck around and didn't dip after the Two Girls, One Cup episode, and the conversations that have mattered more than we could ever expected. So whether you've been listening since episode 1 or you just found us, thank you for being here. The show doesn't exist, without you. And like we say every week, we want to hear from you because we are here to talk to or talk for you. Our safe space is your outlet. As always, if any part of today's episode hit home, please share it with a friend. Tag us at CrodSpot on Instagram. Help us keep this conversation going. We drop new episodes every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. We are live on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. If you have a story, a topic, or you just need to vent, email us at crodspod@gmail.com. And with that, we're back to it. Live fast, eat ass, and celebrate how far you've come, even when the journey isn't easy.
We're not perfect. Them demons watching, but they will not stop.